People think Dean Windass is thick, but I'm not thick at all. You know, I like to have a laugh and a joke, but when I want to be serious, I'll be serious. People say, God, you swear a lot. Have I swore once? Yeah. If I'm on the camera there, I never swear in front of cameras. If it's live. 3 times, yeah, probably.
I was counting in my head.
Yeah, but I know this isn't going to go on television.
You're sort of probably the moment you're best known for in your career, scoring the goal that got Hull City promoted to the Premier League for the first time, and what a goal it was, and to do that at Wembley, age 39.
Yeah.
Talk us through it.
I'm quite proud that I scored a lot of goals for Hull City, and I scored 234 goals in my football career, and I only get mentioned about one. Which is the goal at Wembley. But I think one of the proudest moments was scoring at Cardiff City when we beat Cardiff to stay in the championship. You know, and I thought, you know, my life couldn't get any better.
You've described yourself, I've heard you in an interview describe yourself as a horrible player to play against, you know. Can you elaborate on that?
I was different to when I went across the white line. And a lot of footballers hated me. But I didn't want to be liked when I was on the pitch. I didn't. Nice person off the pitch. I'd do out for anybody off the pitch. Do you know what I mean? And I'll cry with anybody, but when I go across that white line, I was nasty. Yeah, I was horrible. I'd do anything to win a game of football.
You celebrated FIFA Fair Play Day in 2006 by grabbing John Finnegan by the bollocks, and he got sent off for retaliating. Yeah, that must have been a typical day's work in the
FIFA work. Yeah, it was. But listen, it didn't matter what day it was. I was still nasty. Do you know what I mean? So, and it was one of them. Listen, I'd do anything to get somebody sent off. We both fell on the ground. It was a bit of a tussle on the ground, and I grabbed all of his bollocks and squeezed him as hard as I could because I wanted a reaction off him.
And you got
I got it, and he lashed out at me, and the referee sent him off for lashing out at me. And if he said that you were cheat, then I don't really care because, you know, the video printer said 2-1, Windass 1 goal. Who cares?
As a kid, you had like proper jobs before becoming a footballer. You worked on buildings, you worked in factories. Do you think that stood to you in any way, or?
No, it was probably the best thing that ever happened. Do you know, me getting released as an 18-year-old at Hull City with Brian Houghton, and then having to go play for North Ferriby United, and then working in a factory. I first worked in a factory, and then I worked at Bird's Eye where my mum worked, and then I got a job for about 16 months on a building site and playing amateur football. So when I did sign professional football, I appreciated everything I got because I had done both. You know, it's a great life being a footballer. It's not as easy when you're working on a building site and you're getting up at 7:30, you know, carrying bricks up a ladder. And I always used to say I don't want to go back to that building site, and that's what spurred me on.
When you retired, in the years after your retirement, the sky fell in, basically, a lot of personal problems. Was that, I know that your dad died and that affected you a lot, but was that the trigger, or was it that you hadn't really prepared for retirement?
No, I prepared. I prepared for the retirement. I worked for Soccer Saturday for nearly 2 years. But then I was going through a divorce as well. And I was one of these characters where I never sort of spoke to anybody. You know, I had problems when I was 12-year-old when my parents got divorced, and it hurt me. You know, I struggled, and every time I had a drink in the early days, I would cry. You know, I would pee the bed. I would, you know, when I'd had a drink, and I couldn't understand.
Are we talking a lot of drink?
Yeah,
Heavy drink.
Well, I wouldn't drink during the week when I was a footballer, but then when I would go out on a Saturday night after a game, and then I'd drink and I'd be drunk or whatever, I'd go home and my wife would say, you're crying. I'd pee the bed. You know, my ex-wife, we used to have a laugh and joke. You know, she said she was the only 31-year-old bird who had nappy rash because I'd pee the bed every time. But like, I went to see a counsellor. I went to see a counsellor in Aberdeen.
Oh, so this was while you were still playing?
No, I was still playing, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I expressed a few things to this counsellor in Aberdeen, well, in Glasgow it was. I went to see him for about 7 or 8 weeks, and then things got a little bit better. You know, I stopped drinking, but I still had that sort of bad thing in the back of my mind. You know, it was something always niggling me. You know, and I never expressed it to anybody. You know, after that.
Did you know what it was?
No, it was just, I don't know what it was. It's probably when I had a drink, I'd think about my mum and dad. And then when I retired, as you say, I got divorced. You know, I moved back to Hull. I missed my children. I was drinking heavily then because I was still working for Sky, but, you know, I wasn't there mentally. And then the icing was on the cake when my old man died. And, you know, I was drinking very heavily. You know, tried to take my life twice. Yeah. Can't really remember because I was that drunk.
To try to take your own life is that, well, it's
Stupid.
rock bottom.
Stupid. But I dare that many people, my ex-wife, my kids, you know, the girlfriend who I was going out with at the time, and I just thought, if I'm not here, then I can't hurt anybody anymore, and that's how I felt. And I thought, well, the more I drink, because I didn't have the balls to do it when I was sober, so I thought the more I drink, then I can end it. I can be at peace basically with my own self, and then I'll stop hurting people. Me and my old man was like the closest ever, and I had a disagreement with him about something. I can't remember what it was, on the telephone. And my dad was quite a strong character, and I was very opinionated as well. And we had a war of words on the telephone. And I never spoke to him for 4 or 5 months. And on that 4 or 5 months, he died. So I blamed myself. I thought I can remember working here. I was working for Soccer Saturday here. I did the game here. I was in the gantry, working for Sky, and I can remember driving from Leeds to the KC, and I thought, shall I pop in and see him? But I thought, fuck him, no, I'm not going to do that. Why should I? Why should I go to him? He's the dad. He should come to me. And that Saturday night he died. So me driving back from the KC to go back to Leeds, and then I go out for a drink, and then I get the phone call that your dad's had an heart attack and he's dead. Messed me up inside, messed me head up, and I didn't know how to cope with it.
I mean, stuff like that happens, all of us. You seem to be very hard on yourself.
Yeah, because I always, listen, I'm over it now, and, you know, don't get me wrong, you had good days and bad days. You know, I think that now if I wouldn't have gone to rehab, I won't be able to talk about this now. I'd be in floods of tears. But it don't get me wrong, it still hurts, of course it does. You know, but I don't get tearful anymore. I've accepted that he's not here anymore. And, you know, the one thing that I was very proud of, that he watched everything I did before he died. Because I'd obviously then, you know, retired. And then obviously he died after that. But, yeah, you just sort of beat yourself up a little bit. You know, if I would have gone and knocked on his door, would he, you know, has he had an heart attack because he's stressed out because he's not talking to me, you know, and this, that and other. So yeah, I did blame myself. People will say that it wasn't your fault, but I felt as though it was.
How hard is, like, you know, tough guy footballer, how hard was it for you to admit, you know, I have depression, I need help?
I think it was a pride thing, really. Do you know what I mean? It's a matter of when I did finally, and as you say, it was, listen, you know, we know what's just happened to Clark Carlisle, and he's had problems all his life, and it was Ian Ashby. He knocked on my door, and he'd see me in the morning, and he just says, "You're a mess," basically. Didn't say it that way, like, but, and I just says, "I need help," and he went, "I'm going to ring Clark Carlisle up for you," because he was obviously working for the chairman of the PFA or whatever I was doing. Spoke to Clark Carlisle. He put me on to James West, who works for Sporting Chance, a psychotherapist. I went down, silly innit, really. Went down for an interview to see if I have got fucking depression, and I couldn't speak. I was just crying.
So and he probably passed the interview then.
Well, I passed the interview with flying colours. And then he just says, "You need to come in here ASAP." Best 26 days of my life.
I was never going to be a footballer. I always wanted to go into medicine as a young lad. I said to my mates that I wanted to be a brain surgeon, which now they laugh at.